In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The title of this episode is The Optimal Irrigation System from the Quran. And this presentation is in a series entitled Projects from the Quran, where I will show, Allah God willing, in this series how to make technological projects from the guidance of the last revelation of Allah God with the Quran, such that these projects and the technology in these projects is far superior to the knowledge of people and to the projects made by people nowadays, and such that the believers would be the teacher of others and not the one on the receiving end. And in this presentation I will show how can we build an optimal irrigation system from the Quran by pondering upon its verses. And this project stems from the need nowadays for better utilization of water, because in the world we have a problem of shortage of water. And if you think about this problem, it's not that we don't have enough water or not enough rain falls down. No, it's because we don't have good utilization for water. For example, somebody wants to irrigate his land, wants to supply water to his land, and suppose that his land needs 100 liters of water. He will use 500 liters to accomplish the same task because there's so much losses in the irrigation network. And this increase in use of water will make a shortage in another part of the world. So the solution is to find the optimal way to deliver water from one point to another, such that there are no losses and you use what you need only. And we can find this in only one verse in the Quran. And by pondering one verse in the Quran, Allah God Almighty teaches us the answer and how to make this project. And it is in the Quran in chapter 95 verse 1, which reads, this is translation, by the fig and the olive. So here Allah God Almighty draws our attention to two of His creation, the fig and the olive. So what Allah wants from you when you read this verse is to ponder upon these two creations of Allah God Almighty, the fig, the tree and the fruit and the leaves, and the olive. So what I did is that I took a fig leaf, a leaf of a fig tree, that's the one you can see on the screen, and I studied it, I looked at it, and if you ponder upon it, we see that the green areas in the leaf is like places that need irrigation, that you need to supply water to these places. And the canals, the water vessels, they are the network that delivers water from the source to the sink, or from the source to the receiving region. So the logic goes that if we can learn design concepts from the creation of Allah God Almighty for this leaf, then if we make this a reality, make it like a project, if we build this system, then we will have the optimal irrigation system that we need, because Allah God Almighty created everything in an optimal way. As Allah states in the Quran, Allah created everything perfect, meaning perfect utilization of matter and energy. So if we ponder upon this leaf, what can we learn and how can we build it as a technological project? First, we see that the network is a closed network, meaning that the vessels that they carry the water from the source to the sink or to the receiving end, they are closed. So this minimizes the evaporation of water, the loss of water due to evaporation. While we see that the majority of agricultural land is irrigated with open canals from the main supply, so the majority of the water is lost in evaporation. So the first thing we learn, and it's very easy to implement practically, is that the tubes, the vessels, the canals carrying the water, they should be closed. They should be like a tube fashion to minimize the loss of water due to evaporation. Secondly, we see that Allah God Almighty constructed this network with vessels or tubes, let's say, made of light material, very light material, lightweight material. And this means that there is very low friction between the water and the vessels carrying this water. But we see nowadays that the majority of networks carrying water, for example, to buildings in cities, they are made of steel and heavy materials. This will increase the friction between the water and the tubes, and this increased friction meaning that you need more pressure to deliver the water to its destination, and that means excess loss in water and so many other problems. So the second thing we learn and how to implement and to construct this network, that we need lightweight material for the construction. For example, it can be plastic or a hybrid material, but it should be very light. The third thing we learn from pondering upon the leaf of a fig tree, we see that the side vessels or the kind of the branching vessels, they leave the main vessel with angles that are not right angles. It's not 90 degrees. They have kind of different angles than 90 degrees. Now, what's the significance of this? Now, suppose that we have side vessels or side kind of canals at a 90 degrees. This will cause vortices to form in the flow path. And these vortices, they reduce the pressure in the network and thus reduces the amount of water reaching the destination. So you need more water and more pressure to accomplish the task, and that leads to poor utilization of water. So, but when we look at the leaf of a fig tree, we see that the branching kind of vessels, they are not at 90 degrees, and thus this ensures smooth flow, no loss in pressure in the network, and the best utilization for water. So it's very easy to implement in reality. Instead of making the side pipes at 90 degrees, make them at an angle. This ensures smoother flow with minimum kind of pressure loss in the network. Also, we see another interesting point is that there are no kind of very acute angles in the network. Because if you have a very kind of acute angle, they will form something called stagnation points, where at these kind of tips of these kind of very sharp angles, the atoms of water, they will slow down so much, and this will again cause loss in pressure. So you need more pressure to drive the network and more energy and poor efficiency for the network. But we see in the design of Allah God Almighty in His creation for the leaf of a fig tree that we have these angles, or we don't have any sharp corners. We have kind of a smooth corner. This is smooth corner, it ensures no significant reduction in the speed of the molecules and the atoms in the network, and is thus better utilization for energy in the network. So we see, brothers and sisters, all of these concepts and the ideas, they can easily be implemented practically. So what I want from you, brothers and sisters, is to help me to construct this project, this optimal irrigation system of the Quran practically, to do it practically. So I'm asking again if we can collaborate on this to construct it in a practical sense. For example, somebody can construct it in his garden, or if he has some engineering expertise to build a model for this. Any way you can see you can accomplish this project such that people would see the beauty of the knowledge of Allah in the Quran, would be attracted to the Quran, and believers would have the upper hand in technology and in technological advances. So please, again, I'm repeating, I'm looking for people to help me to construct this project practically. So if you can do it with the knowledge you heard from me, please write back to me and we can collaborate in this to make it practical projects. And to know more details about this project, please visit my website at www.quranlearning.com. quran-miracle.com, and you can email me at zquran@yahoo.com, and may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon you all.